Hey everybody, welcome to the No Easy Way Out podcast. My name is Tony Nash, and we are coming to you from the Armory in beautiful downtown Owasso, Michigan, home to my company, AZ Business Solutions, where we grow your brand from A to Z. I want to start today by taking you back about 6 years. I was the general manager at the Comstock Inn and Conference Center right here in Owasso, and the hotel had hired me a few years prior to that and had been going through some tough times. And they brought me in as I had a good amount of experience in the hospitality industry. And so they brought me in for my expertise. And I had just, I had got to the point where the hotel was doing really, really well. And the owners decided that they wanted to sell the property. And so they put the hotel up for sale and got a really good price for it. And so a new group of owners came in and they decided that they would retain me as the general manager because the hotel was doing so well. But it didn't take long for me to realize, about a month in, that there were going to be a lot of changes made. And these changes were not necessarily bad changes. They weren't necessarily the wrong changes. They just weren't changes that I would have necessarily made and that I didn't feel were necessary. But it wasn't my hotel. It was their hotel. And so I knew that as the GM, my job was to execute the wishes of the general manager. And of course I gave my opinion, I gave my suggestions, but these guys had been in the hospitality business for a long time and they kind of had a way they wanted to go about it. And I kind of got to a point where I feel like I was going to have to start over. And I started thinking to myself, man, do I really want to start over? I've been in the hospitality field for almost 10 years now. I've had a tremendous amount of success. It's what I know, it's what I do. And do I really want to start from scratch? And it was a little bit of a worrisome time for me, and I talked to my family about it. And so one of our clients, our biggest client actually, Crest Pontoon, had been for over a year really trying to recruit me to come in and run their customer service division. Now they're a growing pontoon manufacturer right here in our town. And I wasn't really interested in doing that because I really liked what I was doing. I loved the hospitality industry. I loved working in hotels. It's what I know. But after this had happened, I realized that I probably needed to make a change. And I thought, why not try something new? And the job offered really great pay, a wonderful vacation package, medical benefits, health benefits. It was a Monday through Friday 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. job, which is not the hospitality industry. I was very used to working 7 days a week, nights, weekends, all of that. And so it seemed like this was the dream job. And it seemed like something that I was really going to love. My family was excited about it. And I started working for them. And I went in and they gave me a big, long, fancy title, the Director of Inside Sales and Customer Service or something like that. It was so big it barely fit on my business card. And I was a fish out of water, really. I didn't really 100% know what I needed to do, but I realized pretty early on that it was something that I could do. It was something that would definitely fit within my skill set. And they put me in an office, and I had multiple employees that would help me and work with the with the customers, and really found that it was a relatively easy job as far as labor and as far as strain. I mean, it was pretty easy. I sat at a desk for 8 hours a day. And it didn't take me long to realize that I was not built to sit at a desk all day. It's not who I am. It doesn't fit my personality, my skill set, anything. And so I found myself really feeling trapped in this job. This should have been the dream job. This should have been what a lot of people would consider it their dream job. And yet for me, I felt like, this isn't me. This isn't what I was meant to do. This isn't where I was meant to be. And I remember coming home from work at night telling my wife how miserable I was at work. And, you know, she would ask, why was it? Is it hard? It wasn't even the hardness of the work. And the people there were fantastic. Everybody treated me great. It was just I was doing something that wasn't me. And so I began thinking, you know, what do I want to do? I didn't want to start all over. I had just gone through that. And I didn't want to go look for another job because that's always challenging. And so I started thinking about starting my own company. And I contemplated a lot of things that I could do. I thought about what are my skill sets, what are the things that I'm good at, and And so I began to think about it. I started talking to my wife about it. And of course, she was like, "Are you sure you want to do that? I mean, you have this job. You're home every night. You're on the weekends. We get to see you. We get to go on vacations. All of these great reasons why not to do it." And yet I just wasn't happy. And so I stuck it out for a couple more months. And I think I worked there for maybe a total of 6 months, which isn't a long time, millennials. It wasn't a long time, but I just determined that I can't do this. And so I began working even while I was there on a business plan and what I would do. I sought some investors to try to help get me started, get me a little runway. And I decided it's time. I need to do this. Now, to go from a job where you're getting a great salary, benefits, vacation, great hours, to go to a business with 6 children that I have, knowing that I don't know when my next paycheck is coming. I don't know when I'm going to get paid again. It's a big risk. And a lot of people advised me against it. I would say there were a whole lot more people that told me not to do it than people that encouraged me to do it. But I'm pretty headstrong, and I just determined I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to jump out of my comfort zone here, and I'm going to go do something that I know that I can do, and I'm going to commit to do it, and I'm not going to let myself fail. And so I did it. I went out, and we had to make some sacrifices right off the jump. We moved into a much smaller house. We went down to 1 vehicle. We made some cuts, and we did those things. We sacrificed those things for a time to buy what we knew would ultimately be what we wanted to do in our lives. And so now here we are 6 years later, and I sit here in my own office in one of the hottest office spaces in Owasso, Michigan. I have a couple of employees. We have nearly 50 clients all around the country. Here in Michigan, a lot of our clients are right here in Owasso, but we have clients in Oregon and Texas and Ohio and New York. And our business is doing well, and we're on the rise. We certainly have not arrived yet. But as I look back, I realize I would not be here today had I not taken that risk. There would have been no reward had I not been willing to take a risk. And so a person that I think of when I think of a risk taker, or someone that stepped out of their comfort zone and did something that they really wanted to pursue, I think of our guest today, Kori Shook. Kori, welcome to our show today.
Hey, Tony. Thanks for having me.
Now, Kori is our neighbor right here in the Armory. She is the very first suite on the right you'll see when you walk into the Armory. And she has a beautiful spot there. She has a team of 3 or 4 as well. And I'll let her talk a little bit about what she does in a moment. But I met Kori about probably 18 months ago, close to 2 years ago now. And at that time, we were at the 3rd floor of the Exchange building. And Kori had come to us, asked to set up a meeting. And I didn't know who she was. I had heard of her. I had known of her around town, and I knew that she was a real estate gal. And but I didn't know much about her. And so she came to our office, and she met with one of my staff members and I, and she started to talk to us about this thing that she was going to do, and something she had been thinking about for a while. And of course, not many people knew at that time. Actually, you told us, please don't tell anybody, because we haven't told anyone yet, but we need a website. And so we started talking about what her website would look like. And we built the website for her, and she announced it. And I don't know, we'll let her talk a little bit more about how that was, but she made the jump, and now she's here nearly 2 years later, and her business is doing very well. She is still one of our clients, and we are happy to represent her and happy to work with her. And it's always been a pleasure and absolute joy to work with you, Kori. You've been someone that's inspired me. I enjoy watching your journey of success. And you've been doing this for a while. So I just want to give you a minute to kind of tell our audience today about what it is that you do.
Okay, so I'm broker owner, Kori Shook and Associates, and I sell residential real estate. So to me, that means more than just selling. I look at my business as a relationship business, not a transaction business. So I work with buyers and sellers who are looking to purchase or sell residential real estate here in the area.
Okay. And so what do you want people to know about you, Kori Shook, or not necessarily your company, but when people talk about Kori Shook, what do you want them to know about you or think about you?
So I guess I would say, and it is with my business, but that we take our service to our clients as very personal. We get involved in somebody's life during a very important, important transition.
Purchasing a home.
Yeah, it's a big deal, and a lot goes on in that transaction. It's not just about finding a buyer or, seller. It's about that whole transition. So we take it very seriously. I have a great team, Lisa Hitchcock at Tori Springsdorf, and my daughter Rhiannon, and we put a lot of time and effort into making it personal and knowing that we're always available. And the other thing I would want people to know, because I think people that are going to listen to this podcast are probably people I already know that are my friends and family and clients, and in our sphere, we share kind of a sphere. And I would want people to know how extremely grateful I am for the way that the community and my friends and family have supported my business, not just my new business, but for the last 15 years. And that's really why I'm able to be where I'm at today and be able to confidently go out and help people.
Yeah, and I would say, I would add to that, I as I've gotten to know Kori, like I said, she's just been an absolute joy to work with. She's always got a smile. She brings donuts around the Armory once in a while, so that's always a positive. But I know a lot of people around town that have purchased homes from her or have utilized her services to sell their homes. And I've never heard, and this is a rare thing, because everybody has their friends and they also have their enemies, but I've never heard a negative word in this community about Kori, and I think that's something that she should be proud of. And I know a lot of people. I'm connected. I'm working with a lot of the businesses here, and I've never heard a negative thing come out of anyone's mouth about Kori. So in this process, how long would you say from the first time you said, I want to do my own thing, I want to be Kori Shook and Associates, I want to be you had been the boss since you were 10, we just found out. So it wasn't just about that, but you decided, I'm going to get out from any of these umbrellas, and I'm just going to do my own thing. How long from the first time you had that thought to the point where you actually made it a reality?
Well, I think it was before I even went to the franchise, and I think that was just an interim that it didn't pan out the way that maybe I visualized it. But so even from that day forward, it was like needing to create something. I wanted to create something. Yeah. I wanted to create my own, so that was just. I'm not big on regrets. I don't have regrets really, sure. And things are just lessons, and so maybe I just needed that to figure out some systems and to buy myself some time, because when you get to a point when you have to do something and you have to jump and you have to just do it, then sometimes you have to just sometimes you jump in and then you just kind of tread water. Until then, you can really build up that momentum, and I think that's kind of what happened in the last 5 years. I jumped and left my real safety net at the company I was at, and then just built from there. So.
Okay, so
I don't have a timeline. I'm bad about time.
It was a while.
Time eludes me.
It was a while though. It wasn't an overnight decision.
No.
And the reason I ask that is because there's people out there that have been thinking about doing something for a long time.
Yeah.
And they think, well, it's too late. I thought about that 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and it's really not too late. If you're capable, physically able, there's a way. And so go after it, and what we want to do today is encourage you listening that, risk is hard. And there's certainly, this is not about being foolish or irresponsible or making stupid decisions just because you have an idea. But if you have a good idea, don't be afraid to go after it just because there's risk involved. And so in this, you actually, in that, arc of the story you gave us, there were multiple times you jumped out and took a risk.
Sure.
So would you say that in your life you've always kind of been a risk taker, or maybe a play it safe person?
I would say that I'm more of a risk taker, definitely. If I want something, I just do it, period. So I plan and I talk it out, and I maybe take notes, and I think it's important too is to hone your skill and your craft. So
For sure.
You can't just go out and say I like to dance. My friends will get a kick out of this because I'm a really bad dancer.
You're like Elaine
So
Bennis.
I am. I was waiting for that. Yes. So it's an inside joke. And it's inside because I won't do it often. And now never because I don't drink anymore. So
You get no liquid courage.
Right. So, but yeah, I mean, just because you like to do something, doesn't mean that somebody's going to pay you to do it. Exactly. So I think you have to spend some time and before, I think, yes, you can do pretty much whatever you want to do. But again, is that a business?
Right.
And so you do have to have some planning and, but don't just over plan. You just can't
Don't
think.
plan
It's not
so
about,
much that you never do
right,
anything.
That's right. It's not about me. I mean, I made a decision what I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
There was not really a gap in that moment or a hesitation that I was going to do it.
Right.
It was, how do I do it? How do I then make that happen? What do I have to put into motion? So I think that's important, is making it, if you know what you want to do it. And then just set those things up. And the other thing is, if it's what you're supposed to do, if it's fulfilling what you're supposed to do, your God-given purpose in life, the doors will open, and they will just open. And that's why I know where I'm supposed to be, because it's just gone so well. It's great. Things have opened and things have lined up, and that's if it doesn't open, it's not your door. And that's just the truth. So,
well, and a lot of people that would look at you might say that's an overnight success. And, and that's, I think, where a lot of young people get it wrong, is because we're in the social media world. You get on social media and it's a highlight reel.
Sure.
Everybody shows you the greatest meal they're at, or the vacation that they're on, or the new car they just bought, the new outfit they're wearing, the boyfriend they have, the girlfriend they have. And so you get on there and people look and say, man, everybody else is doing better than me.
Right.
This is happening for people right now, and people get impatient and they start to think, well, I'm not where I should be, or I'm not where my peers are. And that's not really the measure. It's not really the measure. And so you have to realize that every successful person has a journey. And there's very few people that were an overnight success. There are years of blood, sweat, and tears that went into people getting where they're at. And if people make it look easy, it's not because it probably was easy. It's because they've committed themselves to not doing the easy things, but doing the difficult things and learning the task, and not just saying, well, that looks easy, so I'll do it, but applying yourself to learn it and get better at it and improve your skills and improve your craft. And then, and only then, that's when the success comes. And I see so many young people today, they're driven, they're motivated, they have this great idea, but what they don't want to do is think, this might not come to fruition for 10 years.
Right.
This might take 5 years. This might take 10 years. They want to see it happen now, because it's an instant gratification society. And so if you're listening today, realize that there is no easy way out. There are certainly paths to happiness. I certainly know that I found mine. I believe Kori would say she's found hers. Mm-hmm. But we both, I think, share in common that we were committed to doing things that were not always easy and that were actually difficult. And we're both still on that journey. And so don't take the easy way out there. So what would you say has been the best thing so far about being independent? Not about being the boss, because again, we know your story. You've been the boss girl for a long time. But what has been the best part to you about being an independent business owner?
I guess again is where my money goes, where my mission, what I focus on. So simple things about that is where your money goes. So I support people who support me. So
right.
I get to support small business owners who have been my clients, or who have given me referrals, or who have supported my business in some way. And I get to make those choices on where that goes. So that's a really big deal to me. By being part of downtown and being part of this community, that's really important to me. It's also important to me where my other money goes, meaning that all the extras that I support. So I support. I don't want to say this, but pretty much everybody who asks.
Right.
You say yes to a lot of things.
It's hard to say no.
It is, right? But because
how many baseball teams are you sponsoring this
exactly,
year? The Little League season is coming.
Yeah, but those are people, again, that they support me, and so I support them, and that's really important to me. That's something that was very important from the beginning to me. I really wanted to sit down and write it. What is it that you want? Well, I wanted to I want to be able to support my community, and I wanted to be able to empower other people. So empowering my team. they're not employees. Rhiannon is. She's my only employee. But my agents that work for me, I'm not a traditional brokerage. I do things totally different. That's been tough because I don't have anybody going before me that does it the way I do it. And so I kind of had to design a compensation package and, a contractor agreement and a culture. I had to really design that, and I'm really happy with it. I think they are too. They're my team. I call them my partners, and I consider them that. I consider them family. Lisa is my family. She's my aunt, and she's like my best friend. So, and now we have Tori, who's doing great right out at the get-go. And again, I think she has the same values that we have. We share that.
Right.
So.
Well, and I think even if you go on your website, CoryShookRealEstate.com, by the way, if you go on there, it says a boutique real estate experience. And that's one of the things you told me when you first started was important to you is you didn't want to just be like all the other firms, but you really wanted your clients, your guests, however you want to refer to them as, you wanted to give them an experience. You wanted to make the process of buying a home and selling a home a joyful experience and not something that people dread. And the people that I know that have worked with you have all described it as such. So what would you say has been the biggest change in your life since the transition?
I guess I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. So I don't change-wise. I mean, I've been an independent contractor. Everybody in real estate is all realtors. So I've basically been running my own business for a long time. But so I'm writing more checks than I ever have, right? I have rent. I have things, but that's all worked out really well. So I guess I would just say that I feel peace. I really do. It's really finally feeling like I'm right where I'm supposed to be, and being able to be in that moment is amazing.
So I want to ask you then, I get this question a lot because I have 6 children. I know you have a good sized family. And so you have work, running a business, you have clients, you have family, you have life that's happening all over. You have one girl in college, I believe, and one that's going.
She's graduating. Yeah. Yes, next week.
I get this question: how do you balance it all?
I don't. Balance is
controlled chaos.
Yeah, exactly. Balance is hard for me. I go through phases. I lose 10 pounds, I gain 10 pounds. I always joke that
I'm like gain 30, lose 10.
You can tell how the market is based on a real estate agent's weight. Like they get fat when it's a good market, and they get skinny because they have time. When they're hungry and they like to go running or whatever. That's because the market's tough. They have time to do that. But
so you want to find an overweight real estate agent? Is what you're trying to say,
right? So I haven't eaten. I don't remember last time I ate today. Yeah. I'm sure it wasn't good. I'm sure I don't even know. But so I think you just go in phases, and you got to be, gentle to yourself, because I will go really hard and go really good at one thing, and then sometimes, maybe I slack. But my family is so forgiving of that. I have a great, husband and kids that they've grown up with it, so they're very used to that, and they know how much I love them, and they know that everything I do, I think they know that is for them, and that I work hard on teaching them these things and passing some things on to them that are important. I think work ethic is important.
Communication is so important. I mean, I want my kids to see my work ethic. I want my kids to see how hard I work. I want my kids to see that you can accomplish something if you set your mind to it, but you're willing to put the work in. But I think it's so important that you have a spouse that, and you refer to, your kids and your husband being understanding of your schedule. I think that's such an important thing. I couldn't do what I do without my wife. When I do get called away in the middle of the night, or when I do have to travel out of state for work, she's so supportive, never gives me grief about it, always tells me she's going to miss me, always happy to see me when I get home. And that certainly is one of the biggest blessings. And I think having a teammate alongside of you, and she always encourages me in what I'm trying to do and doesn't try to bring me down. And sometimes she tries to bring me down to earth as my mind gets a little ahead of myself. But just always having that support system is huge for me. Why do you think that so many people are afraid to take risks when it comes to business or anything?
I think a lot of times people have ideas and fear. They're afraid. But I think the way to work through that is discipline. I think sometimes people don't want to do the hard things, and they have great ideas, but they don't want to work through that thing. And I think for me, discipline in the last couple of years and honing things in on that, it makes a huge difference.
Sure. So, kind of the theme of our podcast is avoiding shortcuts, overcoming setbacks, and achieving success. To me, that's a progression. When you avoid the shortcuts, not meaning finding ways to be more efficient or finding ways to make it easier or a little more productive, but doing the things that are cutting corners.
Sure.
When you do that, then you will be able to learn about how you overcome those setbacks, and only then can you really achieve success. And so would you say the reason that it's been so smooth since you started, would you agree, or would you say that it's because you learned, you had the setbacks earlier, you didn't take the shortcuts, you didn't cut corners, you figured it out, and when you did this, you were ready to go?
Yeah, I would definitely. And I also think and learning from, even if it's a simple mistake or something that maybe isn't even a mistake, maybe you didn't even do it, but it didn't go the way it should have, is really taking note of that and seeing what you can learn from it. And I do think that letting things go, I think it's hard to take things, not to take things personal, which I do, and I believe that it's a personal business that I'm in, but moving on and just moving to the next thing is really important. Being able to let go of things, put your day at the end of the day. I mean, I used to lay in bed, and I do think, again, it's important for me to really care about people's business, but there's been so many times in my career when I could not sleep because I'm worried about everybody else's problems. Right. And how can I even do a good job if that's what I'm doing and I'm just stressing myself out so much? So I really try. I've come into yoga. That's the thing for me, and has done it for me. You just taught a class
recently, right?
I did. I am teaching classes.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So got my certification. That's right. And Wednesday night beginners. And
I tried yoga one time, and I just felt like it was a fat guy rolling around on the floor. So I'm just not flexible at all. So my wife videoed it, so I got to see what it looked like, and that made it way worse.
We don't judge. There's no judgment. We stay on our mats. And
she judged hard.
And it's not about flexibility. It's about breathing. It's about coming into, being able. So come, and I'll teach you.
I have to come try it out.
I'll teach you. Yes, but being in the moment and putting things to bed, so that you can go to bed. You're just letting things rest, and they'll be there the next day. And so learning how to do that's a big deal.
Good. I agree with that 100%. Other than your family, what would you say your children, what is your proudest achievement to date?
Yeah, so I'm obviously really proud of my family, and my marriage has 16 years, and
me too.
And it's not been an easy road. There was times that everybody, including myself, did not think we were going to make it, and so being here today and being happier and more in love than I ever have been is amazing. But not my family. I would say that quitting drinking. So some people know that I just made a conscious decision and gave up alcohol 2.5 years ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I don't count the days. It's not something I did other than for myself, and that has made a dynamic change in my life. And then I feel like it was a gift. Like it was a gift to me to be able to do that, and I think I have to share it with other people because it's just the best. My life is amazing because of it.
And sometimes when you do something for yourself to just better yourself, or to just know that you have the discipline to do something, you have no idea how many other people that impacts and helps and encourages. And so I love hearing stories like that. I love hearing stories when somebody said, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to stop doing this, and they stick to it and they do it. So congratulations on 2 years.
Thanks.
So at the end of it all, what does success look like to you?
Well, success, this is something that really I've come in my wise years, in the last few years, is that it's just not about numbers. I hardly ever even look at the numbers anymore. And hey, one of the good things about that is it means I can pay my bills and I don't have to worry about it. Right. So right now, Again, phases come and go, and it comes, especially in my business. But I think success is fulfilling your God-given purpose. And we all have that, and none of us really know what the heck that even means, right? I mean, there's books and whatever, and that's just a very confusing, out there topic. But for me, it just means being exactly where I am and not questioning it and going with it. And then beyond that, real success is then empowering somebody else to be able to do that. Yeah. So whether that's my kids, whether that's, my husband, my family, or my employers, or even just my clients every day, to be able to assist them and get them where they want to go and where they're supposed to be is success to me.
Yeah. And I think for me, you mentioned empowering others, and that's really the whole reason I began this podcast. Probably the number one question I've got from people that I know who have listened or watched have said, why are you doing a podcast? What's the purpose of it? Are you making money? Can you make money off it? And for me, it's not really about that. It's about really trying to inspire, encourage, motivate other people that are out there and hearing the journey of someone else who's gone through it and is still going through it and learning from them, gleaning from them, and understanding what it takes and to avoid taking the easy way out. And so I am also another one that's very passionate about empowering other people. To me, there's so much fulfillment in facilitating somebody's growth, watching them learn something you taught them, and then doing it, and then not just doing it, but having success themselves. I mean, that is such a awesome experience, and probably why I coach basketball. My kids play, but I just enjoy teaching and training young people how to do something and seeing them have success. It's definitely a cool thing. Well, Cory, thank you for being on our show today. It's been a pleasure to get to know you a little bit more. If you want to know more about Cory and her business, you can visit her online at koryshookrealestate.com. She's also on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. And
Tony's got my social media.
We enjoy it. We do manage it. You always bringing us good content. You're selling a lot of houses. So, and then also, are you on Twitter as well? Are you a Twitter girl now?
I'm there. Maybe. I don't know. I don't use it. No, yeah, I don't. Yeah.
So look her up if you're in need of selling a house, or if you're in need of buying a home. Cory will really help you through the process, make it a fun experience for you, and I highly recommend her services. I want to end today by saying that taking risk, it is scary. It can be scary. It can be intimidating. But playing it safe is called that because it's the easy way, and you never hear a successful person when they're telling their story say, I got here by playing it safe. You never hear a person at an award show get up and say, I just want to thank everybody that encouraged me to play it safe. You always hear people that put in the work and did the difficult things. And so I want to give you just a couple of reasons that you today should determine to take a risk. Number one, many times our greatest opportunities come from taking a risk. You don't know what's on the horizon for you. You don't know what opportunities are out there until you really take that risk. You don't know what you're missing out on. And so jump in. Again, not be irresponsible. Sometimes you have to be, and I would say always be safe, but don't be afraid to do something that's going to be difficult. Number two, taking risk will help you stand out. People are inspired by someone that's willing to jump out there and do something and lead the pack and jump out ahead of people. And so it'll help you stand out. Number three, success really requires it. You're not going to have success without taking a risk, as I mentioned that earlier. The title of our episode today is No Risk, No Reward. There will be no rewards for you if you're not willing to get out there, take a risk. Number five, I have this little plaque on my desk at home that says life begins at the end of your comfort zone. So maybe today you're comfortable, things are going okay, but you're not really happy. And so I would say get out of that comfort zone. Do something that makes you a little uncomfortable, something that's a little difficult, something that might be a big risk, something that even maybe people around you don't understand or don't think it's a good idea, but you know in your mind, you believe in your heart that it could work. Go after it. Number six, embracing risk helps you overcome fear of failure. They did a study recently of the number one fears that people have in life. Number one was death. Number one was public speaking. Number one was public speaking. More than the fear of death, people fear public speaking. But number two was death. Number three was fear of failure. People don't want to make a mistake or fail, but taking a risk will help you do that. And then lastly, playing it safe not taking risks, that's taking the easy way out. And we just don't do that here. We don't take the easy way out. So get out there, dig your feet in, put your hands to the plow, and go get it done. Thank you for joining us today. As my mother, Deborah Nash, always said, you can't and never could until you tried. Don't take the easy way out, my friends. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, if you liked that video, be sure and give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel by clicking the link below. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram.